FOMO in Bitcoin right now is very, very strong. But the question is, can it hold? And what signs are there currently that shows potential weakness for us to see, the expected price action that I've been talking about recently as well. So I'm going to get into it. There's not really any articles to go over. We all know that the war negotiations are just beginning. We're waiting on some info on that. Eventually, it will come out. We'll see some progress being made, hopefully, so we can put that in the past. But right now, if you guys have been looking at just the news media, keeping up with articles, you know that we're in the very early stages of this, in my opinion, of this tariff and interest rate fear beginning to, you know, take over the headlines once again. We're early in that, and I do believe there's going to be some stuff coming out making it all crazy because supposedly the tariff inflations have not actually been presented yet on the public records that are published constantly, and we're waiting to see further information on whether or not those terrorists have actually done the damage that is expected. So we're waiting on that info to come out, but as of right now, just focus on the short-term price action, focused on the bigger picture as well. I'm going to show you guys what I am personally looking at, what I am personally keeping an eye on, and how I am personally approaching Bitcoin right now. And I'm just showing you guys what I'm doing. I'm not telling anyone to copy me, but maybe some stuff I say may encourage some of you to potentially do your own research on specific things and make your own thesis on what you want to do with Bitcoin. But what I'm looking at right now is short term. And I talked about this yesterday. I said, like, if we start seeing this sign, which is micro supports being broken, then we could potentially start looking at signs that we are going to come down and test this retracement area. So micro supports, they were sort of creating an uptrend. They broke finally, and now we're creating a downtrend, smaller, lower lows and lower highs. But the amount of FOMO right now, and if there wasn't a lot of potential hype money flowing into Bitcoin, or potential FOMO money flowing into Bitcoin, then we probably would have seen this structure break down a lot faster. So right now, there is a lot of, like, how do you say, bullishness in the price due to hype in the macroeconomic world right now. And there was an article, I don't know how solid it is or how much of an impact it has, but supposedly something about potential higher likelihood of having an interest rate cut earlier than expected. We will see, because again, if we just look at the bare fundamental data that the Fed has given us during speeches, is that they are waiting for further evidence that inflation is going down. So some of these articles trying to influence the expectations of earlier than expected interest rate cuts are not very, how do you say, trustworthy, in my opinion, if we just think about it that way. And then I think there is some negotiations potentially with Iran for something about oil. So there may be a lot of really good progression. And if that hasn't come out, then I would have expected maybe something weird is happening in the background, but it's not. So what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to take advantage of the amount of FOMO in here to potentially more actively manage the swing trade I shared with you guys in yesterday's video. The whole purpose of that swing trade is to just take advantage of much higher prices and let the price do its thing. But understanding short-term weakness, short-term views, understanding that we finally, and I've been waiting for this for a while, and I've been talking about it a lot for a long time, but we finally hit that purple area. And then I said this in yesterday's video, just like a lot of other fib extensions and fib retracements, and we've seen tons of examples over the last year of keeping track of the Bitcoin price. Usually when we have a bigger picture fib extension, rather it's bullish or bearish, doesn't matter, have the price has enough momentum to reach it and then quickly recovers out of it, that means that, hey, if the price was willing to go there in the short term and there was enough momentum, bearish volume to push it into here, and the recovery out is based on hype and not purely on just alone the chart fundamentals, then I wouldn't be surprised if we have a deeper um, test of this area. And ideally, having the price mix with that point 0.5 retracement around 95K is much more attractive than just assuming that the low is in and we're going much, much higher. I do believe, though, that in the short term, potentially in the next 1 to 3 days, as we enter into the weekend and then we let weekend volume do its thing, I would not be surprised if Bitcoin just has another high to, you know, extend this higher. Because if there wasn't a lot of FOMO, we would have seen the retracement in blue hold very, very well. And we've seen this happen a lot before. But this time around, we have, of course, macro hype pushing the price. So it broke the extension and it's now using it sort of as a support. So until a lot of this short-term hype begins to die down, I wouldn't be surprised if we just maybe push this higher and start retesting previous extensions that have not been filled. For example, the between 108 to 110K. We have a nice area around there, but again, any further upside, I would be very, very careful, just in my own opinion, on being over leveraged on the long side, because that, it's very likely that that could be the final short term pump before we start seeing some big red candles to try to finish off the correction that we started all the way back here, to finally finish that off, have a deeper deep value push, and then after that, potentially start looking at much, much higher prices. Because again, just like earlier this year when we were in deep value down here, a lot of this deep value Bitcoin is being bought up. There's a lot of institutions buying, and at that point, having the price extend down to an overall proper retracement, especially on a bigger picture, is very likely that it is unsustainable and we will have a quick recovery out of it. But again, just because this is purely a hyped rally, I don't believe that there is enough evidence or to have this support in yellow hold as much as we would like it to. Now, it's very much possible, and the price is currently having a little bit of a downtrend forming, potential top, but this can easily be crushed, go up higher, just one more high before we go down lower. And then potentially, if tomorrow, I'll give it time, if tomorrow, because I have some profit in the swing trade, there's a margin position because it was issued as a phantom uh, order execution, but it is balanced out with cash, so it's not a true margin position. And then a regular cash position. The regular cash position is actually up in the green. So if we have the price go up a little bit, it will allow BitU to go up, have a green Friday potentially, and then there I'm looking at short, or at least shaving a lot of that cash trade to lock in profits and then conserve that capital for a potential retest of, or not retest, but a potential test of support. And it will allow me to lock in profit, and it will still leave the $10,000 margin position to capture any more profit if for some reason the price wants to extend even higher, and then potentially start retesting or try to max out a previous extension on this one as well. So there's still potential for making profit on that end, but I do want to lock in profit if we have a good Friday, because again, it's very likely, like for example, with all the bullishness we had right here, the price topped out right here, and it wasn't enough to actually hit or even pass the 109.9K swing high. So there is a lot of bearish evidence sort of presenting itself to me, and it makes sense to me. So I want to begin being cautious at these levels, allow the RSI to max out one more time, begin shaving, and then conserve that capital to acquire at a better position. Now, I'll be looking at 102K as a potential bottom if we're confirming this is down, this is done. So if we come down, hold above 102K, then go up higher and actually break this swing high right here, then I'll be looking at invalidating this area. But until that happens, I am much more focused on this purple area and focused on deeper prices, because again, this is a hyped up rally. It is, so I don't believe it's going to hold as strong as normal fluctuations would. So I'm keeping my eye on that, guys. Whatever I do tomorrow, if I sell, if I don't, or if I just don't sell or don't sell, it doesn't matter. I'll show you guys what the position looks like tomorrow, as of market close, and then we'll go on from there. But again, in the bigger picture, after coming out of deep value, just like in 2024, usually an overall proper retracement is very likely. And just like right here, we had a quick dip into it, quick recovery out of it. The recovery couldn't break a previous swing high, so it retests it, goes deeper, mixes with a zero point 0.5 retracement before it finally starts pumping and going to much higher prices. So this is something very, very similar, and I do believe this can play out very well just because the macro environment seems to be supporting that. But again, I'll keep you guys updated. I watch Bitcoin daily very closely to make my assumptions. But we have a quick dip, quick recovery out of it, not significant. Swing high can't break over the previous swing high. So it's looking very likely that even if we have a little bit of a one more high, it doesn't matter if it does or doesn't break this swing high. This is enough weakness where we're not seeing enough bullish momentum break the price higher. Instead, it created a short-term downtrend. So if we fall now, great. If we don't have one more high, I don't believe it's gonna hold very well, in my own opinion. And then we could finally have that, sub 100K deep value opportunity one more time, potentially the last time, before we go up into much, much higher prices. Now, this can easily form as well, regardless of how high this can go or if it's going to drop now. It's a very textbook pattern to see something like this where we see an inverse head and shoulders, indicating that we have the one more dip into it. The third dip can even break into the purple as well, but hold above the swing high. While this swing high is flirting with this one, but regardless, holding that higher low from a one more dip, and then just we're up into outer space from there, basically. So yeah, I'm looking to potentially shave off some of my BitU position if the price holds strong Friday. If not, then I'll be looking for an opportunity to add another 10,000 within the yellow. If it doesn't hold, add another 10,000 within the purple. That will bring the position up to $60,000 invested, and it will put me in a really, really good position to ride out the original plan for that swing trade up into this area. So it's not a short-term trade. So that's what I want to do. I want to keep using fib support areas as an opportunity to accumulate. I don't want to sell. I hope the price doesn't go up because I don't want to shave the position. I really just want to keep accumulating. I'm in no hurry to sell. So we'll see what happens. But if there's good profit, I'm going to take it regardless. That's the whole point of trading. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Hopefully you enjoyed, and take care.